Don't worry about the language. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome back to another edition of Muzzy Buzz. What is going on, everybody? I know it's been a little bit since I made my last video. For those of you that are following me on Twitter, and for those of you that are on the YouTube comments, you guys know that I'm pretty much looking to buy some new equipment. So I did get some new equipment. I got a Canon EOS 80D that was recommended to me by my man Sim. So I've got this new camera and some new lighting and things like that. So I'm trying to change this up to make it a little bit more entertaining for me and for you guys, and so that it doesn't feel like there's a bright light just shining on you guys every time I, cam up and I do these videos and things like that. So I'm trying to bring down the lights a little bit so that we all feel a little bit more calm and a little bit more relaxed. So with that being said, I am so happy to be here with another episode. I hope you guys are happy. I enjoy making these videos. A lot of times people worry about, oh, I want to be famous, I want to do this and I want to do that. But for me, I think I just like to get my views out there. And I know there's a lot of people that follow me on Twitter and people who are followers of TMM, which is the Mad Mamluks. And they always like to hear some of my opinions, so I decided to pop this channel open so that we could do that. So as you can tell, the camera is a little bit different. It's kind of more in my face, and so maybe you get more of me, and you can check out some of my gray hairs that's coming out. Yes, I'm an old man, but we can talk about that later. So before we get into the video, I just want to remind you guys that you guys need to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell button, so that whenever I drop a new video, all of you people know exactly when I drop the video, right? So make sure we get that done. Take a couple seconds to just go hit that like button or subscribe button and the little bell. Don't forget. By the way, a big shout out to everybody that helped me get to 100 subscribers. We made it. I'm official. I got 100 subscribers. I can get a custom URL, and I did that just right now. It's www.youtube.com/c/muzzybuzz, and that is my official home now. And thank you to everybody out there who helped me get that 100 subscribers. Everybody on Twitter that was retweeting and helping me, and my man Sim, who also helped me out on the TMM page, and all of you wonderful fans that went out there and actually hit the subscribe button. I promise you, I will try not to disappoint. All right, so now we got all the lovey-dovey stuff, all the technical stuff out of the way. Let's get right into this video. Let's do it. So a lot of stuff has been happening right now, right? I mean, right now we've got Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib making the news. And what was the news? Well, they wanted to go to Israel and Palestine to check out the situation over there and to see what they could do and meet people and kind of the grassroots organization type stuff, right? Go meet the Palestinian delegates, probably sit down with the Israelis, get a conversation, some dialogue going on, just for a congresswoman to go see that part of the world. It's fairly normal. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of Congress women and men, they go out to different parts of the world. They go to Syria, Africa, the Middle East, all over, Asia. You find it quite often that different politicians go over there so they can better assess what's happening in those parts of the world, and kind of like relationship building missions to try to increase American diplomacy abroad. So this is nothing new, to be honest, okay? So what happens is that Trump decides to tweet out and say, hey, look, Mr. Israel, don't let them in. I mean, I wouldn't let them in. So next thing you know, Netanyahu puts out this thing saying, hey, you know what? Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are banned or cannot be coming to Israel because they support BDS. And according to them, BDS is considered to be an act of war and against the state of Israel. I just find it to be a bit odd. I mean, you have a bunch of people in America who are petitioning to not sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, to boycott Chinese goods and all these kinds of things. And China and Saudi Arabia and Russia and all these other countries don't consider it to be an act of war. And I just find it to be so silly. So what happens is Israel decides to say, no, you know what? You can't come. And it just made a whole fiasco. Now, for a moment, let us put aside the religious element to this for a moment. I mean, alhamdulillah, we are Muslims, and, of course, we want people to go over to the Holy Land and to see what's happening, so perhaps we can get justice for our brothers and sisters over there. And for anyone that's suffering in that area, we want to have justice delivered to them. But from a purely political standpoint, we're going to analyze it from that point in this video. If I were on the Israeli side, I think I would have been absolutely against this, not because, I'm talking from the perspective of a Muslim. What I'm saying is, politically, Israel had the opportunity of a lifetime and a PR, a gem here for PR, for public relations. They could have let Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib come in to Israel and Palestine and escorted them around and basically said, hey, look around. Everybody's living happy here. Everyone's fine. We're not oppressing the Palestinians. We give them rights. They could have played this whole PR game as they normally do, right? Like, for example, MLI, the Muslim Leadership Initiative, a sub-organization of the Shalom Hartman Institute, which is basically a Zionist group that tries to reach out to Muslims who are willing to come over there and hear their narrative. And they house them, they take them around, they show them how, quote, loving they are and how tolerant and accepting they are and how life is in Israel. And they could have done exactly that with these two congresswomen. And obviously, they would have had camera crews around them. They would have had a lot of different media outlets that were around them. And they could have essentially utilized that for their advantage. But instead, they went ahead and said, look, we're going to ban you guys. And what that does is it gives Ilhan Omar legitimacy in eyes of people that may have been on the fence about this. And what do I mean by that? You're obviously going to have a core group of right-wing conservatives who will stand by Israel no matter what. Even if Netanyahu murdered a baby on TV live in front of them, they would be loyal to Israel till the end. But then you have a middle group of people who are, they're kind of in the middle. They think, Israel is an ally. They provide us with intelligence. They are a democracy. They're not radicalized, and they're just kind of on the fence. They really don't know a lot of the facts. They just kind of go with what they're being told in church and on the media. But those kinds of people are like, okay, well, it was kind of strange that Ilhan Omar said that, Israel is controlling lobbyists here and they're controlling politicians. For them, it may have come off as anti-Semitic at one point. But when you see what happens when it unfolds and Trump tweets out and Netanyahu the next day he goes ahead and bans them, it makes them think, wait a minute, maybe she's onto something. Maybe there is some kind of collusion here. And maybe they do have a larger influence than we thought they did. And now, if that is the case, then now they have basically just given credence to Ilhan Omar, and they've given validation to her theory or to her point that Israel is controlling a lot of the American politicians. And so I feel like Israel really made a big mistake, and it was a lost opportunity to try to go ahead and show the American public, the media, the world, that, hey, we're not bigoted. Hey, we're actually not harming people. And we have nothing to hide. But instead, they chose to censor them. And they chose to ban them. So then what happens is there's immediate outroar, right? And so Netanyahu then kind of reverses the opinion. And he says, listen, Rashid Tlaib, oh, and by the way, Tlaib says, you know what? My 90-year-old grandma is there. And, I haven't seen her and she wants to see me. And then and then she was like applying for, what do you call, like for diplomatic or family reasons. She wanted to go over there, not really as a congresswoman. And then Israel says, okay, you can come for that reason, but we have conditions. You cannot talk about any of this propaganda, this BDS movement. You can't meet with certain factions. You can't meet with certain politicians, etc., etc., etc. So Rashid Tlaib in response says, you know what? I prayed on it. I thought about it, talked to my grandmother, and I will not be coming under those conditions. And everyone is like, what? And then it comes, and she goes on to explain that, hey, my grandmother said you are like an asfur, which means like a bird that flies, And she says, don't let them cage you. And she became very emotional. She said, you know what? My grandmother saw dignity and honor through me by being elected as a congresswoman. I was, essentially her voice, and I was an extension of her dream, of her freedom, and I refuse. Basically her grandmother told her to not let them cage you and do not come back under those conditions. And so therefore, with a heavy heart, she says, you know what? I am not going to go to Israel under those conditions or Palestine under those conditions. And so here we are today. Now, from a PR perspective, this is gold, right? People love to hear a sad story and emotional attachment and family and triumph and suffering and anguish, right? This is a gold mine for anybody trying to get sympathy from the public. And I think they did a perfectly good job of using that as a way to gain sympathy and to get the narrative on their side. So I think right now, currently, this has become a disaster for Israel and their PR, to the point where even right now, the Democrats are considering action against the action that Israel took, which is, trying to prevent them from coming. And that is kind of unprecedented, right? A lot of times, a lot of the Israelis were wanting the Democrats to come down with harder language towards Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib, specifically about BDS and the comments about which they deemed anti-Semitic and things like that. And now we're seeing a reversal of the role where the Democrats may, in fact, come out with some sort of statement condemning what Israel decided to do as a state. So, for me, I think it's a nightmare for PR for Israel. I think that they could have done a better job of this, and I think it's probably a dream come true for these two congresswomen, Ilhan Omar and Rashid Tlaib. I think that they have now an opportunity to kind of bring light to an issue that would have been very difficult to bring light to, and to try to show exactly who they're dealing with. It's very tough to kind of show the general public how Israel usually uses or manipulates the argument and the narrative. And I think this was a perfect opportunity for them to show that. And they're on a roll right now. And I think that this could possibly gain some momentum, and we'll see what happens. So that is my thought about Ilhan Omar and what's going on with that. If you guys have any comments, your thoughts, let me know. Tweet at me at MortTMM. I'm on Twitter. Or you can leave a comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if I'm crazy. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm totally off base here. Just let me know what you think, right? I care about the comments. I love interacting. A few of you have already interacted with me on a different number of issues, and I thank you for that. I love dialogue, and I love these conversations. It keeps me going. I thrive for that kind of open conversation. So I think I'm going to wrap up this video with that being said. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified every time I drop a video and you'll get to enjoy. Make sure you spread the word and all that good stuff. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We're out.
Mercy,